So, one of Becker's theories of marriage was about polygamy and why men would have more than one wife, why women would, why you don't see the opposite, one woman, many husbands. Technically, either could be possible, right? So why was the pattern mostly in one direction than the other? Becker claimed it was about economic efficiency in childcare as compared to patriarchy, which is what many feminists argue. This is the reason why you only see mostly one guy, many women, but you don't see the other. Right? But part of that was a whole set of ideas about altruism. And I'm going to talk about altruism in relation to Becker's really famous theory of the rotten kid. So here's the question. Everybody got a utility. I'm in a household. I got my utility. My spouse has his utility. And then my kid got their utility. And the utility is that I'm a rotten kid. I just don't want to do housework. I'm not going to do anything in relation to garbage, trash, cleaning my room, doing my homework, whatever. I'm a rotten kid. Nasty. How am I supposed to deal with this if I'm using utility to decide on the best outcome? Sometimes kids just have nasty utilities, right? Rotten kids. For much of Becker's theory, including the rotten kids theorem, he said the key to the household is altruism. In altruism, mathematically what you are doing is include the utility value of somebody else in your own utility. So, you can think of mom. My happiness is my kids' happiness, right? So their utility number, if their utility is higher, my utility is higher. So my own utility function actually depends on their utility function. If they're unhappy, I'm unhappy. If they're happy, I'm happy. Right? Dependent function. I can mathematize it. Here is where Becker gets interesting. He says the key to why heteronormative patriarchal families are best, not because the mummies, it's because, as it happens, men are the people in this world who show altruism. According to Becker, psychologically, women can be gold diggers, women can marry a guy just because he's got a lot of money or he's going to help them have a better life or whatever. The true altruist, according to Becker, not the woman, the men. Men are altruists. They are the ones who are earning money, and then they are the ones who are using this money to support everybody else because they are altruistic. A husband feels joy if he sees his wife dressed well. He's an altruist. And more specifically, male altruism means that because men are the ones earning the wage, they are ready to use that wage to ensure their children, even if they are rotten kids, behave properly. They are willing to discipline the kids, not by control, not because they are like patriarchal, no, because they're altruists. They do this because they want to make sure their wives and especially their children do well. So altruism is added to Becker's theory, and what it shows is that as long as the person who is in control of the income, the man, using it in a good way as an altruist, father knows best. They will use the money to correct the rotten kids, to help the wives, to make sure everything is good. So this is a very interesting theory. It's not just because he used math, which was innovative, but it's also because once he started using the math, you can begin to see all the socio-cultural assumptions of his time. Remember, this was written in 50s, 60s, 70s. He's like, why would men help women? Must be because they're altruist. Why would women stay at home while men do the work? Must be because the men are better than the women. Comparative advantage. Why do we usually marry people pretty similar to us? Associative mating, utility. So, in many ways, you might look at his theory and think, I think there might be another explanation for these results. And we're going to get there. Never forget, he's the first guy who actually tried to develop mathematical models to explain what he saw. And maybe what his explanations were showed the particular limits of his cultural milieu, but his explanations also showed how important it was to actually sit down and spend some time thinking about utility, cost, benefit, rationality, decision making, and figuring out, not just as in that's our culture, but figuring out why do people do this? And to that we owe him a great deal.